a beautiful day! We're getting a little bit of a late start, but it's all on time, right? We're exactly where we need to be and when we need to be there. So in a few moments, I'm going to call our Indigenous representatives who are here today from many tribal nations into the circle to please join us as we have an opening. And I also invite the public to gather around as you're able to and join us. We have a beautiful day today. We are so blessed and so grateful. And I am so grateful to be here with you all. My name is Christine. I am the director of Imagine Studios. I consider myself an ally and even more an accomplice, as my dear friend and colleague Roger has taught me. An accomplice in training, I'll say. And it's an honor to be here with Roger and so many other Native representatives all throughout the Dawnland. So today's celebration celebrates traditional and contemporary Indigenous cultural arts, knowledge, and diversity, honoring our region's Indigenous communities and all Native peoples. It also supports recognition of Indigenous Peoples Day at the city, state, and national level. This event has grown, as you may know if you've been here in years past, exponentially over the years. And it includes now tribes from Canada. We have Lone Cry with us here, right here in the circle. Give them a big round. And Roger and Nicholas Paul's family from Passamaquoddy up in Maine. And of course, we have a large representation from Wampanoag Nation. Jared, come on in here and join us, and please, any Wampanoag representatives here. We also have Penobscot Nation and the Birch Bark Canoe, which is amazing, and we'd love to welcome them in as well to the circle. I'm going to give a nod to Cultural Survival, one of the longest standing organizations and one of our community partners. And I'm going to read a short quote. According to Cultural Survival, Indigenous Peoples Day is not only about denouncing Columbus, but actively celebrating the ongoing strength and leadership of Indigenous peoples. It's about recognizing the communities that have endured, resisted, and thrived in spite of centuries of violence and marginalization. And indeed, today's cultural celebration is a testament to that spirit of resistance and survivance of Indigenous peoples throughout the continent. And we are honored to be joined here today by a large array of intertribal artists, musicians, educators, and culture bearers from numerous nations, which we all want to thank and acknowledge. We're going to have a very brief acknowledgement from our local state representative. She has to leave in a few minutes to be at another engagement, so we're going to change the order around a little bit and welcome in State Representative Dawn Shand.
Thank you so much for asking me to join you today. It's just a beautiful morning. For those of you who don't know Christine Malpica, she always includes at the end of her email messages the words Pawtucket, Pinnacook, Abenaki territory. This is a name for the ancestral lands of Indigenous people who called the Merrimack River Valley their home. They spoke an Algonquin language. So whenever we use the place names that the Indigenous people gave these lands, we are also speaking that endangered language. These words include Mystic, Natick, Wachusett, Mattapoisett, and Massachusetts. These language roots live in the place where we've put down roots. And I think for me, knowing this only makes me appreciate more the long and complicated history of the Merrimack River Valley. So I want to thank Christine for bringing us together to celebrate that remarkable culture. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative Shan, for being here, for all your service, and for your acknowledgement. We really appreciate that. We'd also like to thank and acknowledge the city representatives of Newburyport here. Mayor Reardon is supposed to be here at some point, and I think he's running a little late. He has another engagement this morning. But we'd like to thank him and also the city planning department, Jordy Vining in particular, and Andy Port, for their forward thinking about this native space that we are in today. As we know, all the lands that we all inhabit are native lands. And we want to thank them for their visionary leadership and commitment to creating a long-term Indigenous Peoples place right here at Waterfront Park. And we're hoping that it is going to be right where that red chair is sitting today. It's kind of fitting in a way. And we want to see it filled with people in the near future, and with Indigenous sculpture and interpretive signage and other ways that we can acknowledge and recognize our native past, present, and future here. So please, we ask you, if you are local, to write to Mayor Reardon's office and Senator Tarr and Representative Shand and all the people who represent our area, to ask and to advocate for that space to be created in the near future. So we ask for your help and support with making that a reality in the very near future. Okay. I have forgotten a piece of my script, but that's okay. I will just say that we had a really wonderful surprise acknowledgement from Governor Maura Healey. And we want to give a shout out to the governor. This acknowledgement actually came about in a wonderful way from a young man, a 17-year-old, Ryan Yu. He was not able to make it today. He was at our celebration last Saturday. And Ryan took it upon himself. He's a senior at St. John's Prep and a resident here. He thought that this Michoud project, the Merrimack Michoud project, was so important, and this event, that the governor's office should acknowledge it. And so he went to the governor's office and talked to her and to her representatives, and we now have an official acknowledgement letter and endorsement from the governor's office for this event and for the Michoud project, which I was going to read to you, but it's in my car. So maybe I can find it on my phone in a few minutes, but thank you very much to Governor Healey for her leadership, and also for her leadership in the Massachusetts Indigenous legislative agenda, changing the state seal and flag, which is finally coming to fruition after a long time, but it's happening. So progress is being made at the local, city, and state levels. This year's event really celebrates and centers on the rich Indigenous maritime history of the Melodemak, or Deep River in the Abenaki Algonquin dialect, and the contemporary cultural arts of Native knowledge keepers who keep these traditions going today, creating cross-cultural connections here and deepening ties to the entire region. Many intertribal bands have traveled this river highway and native space of kinship connections, trade, intertribal exchange, as well as cross-cultural trade and conflict with colonizers for the past few centuries. Indeed, this region was one of the first to be impacted by colonization and English transatlantic maritime industries, including just up the river, the first licensed trucking house trade station in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, right here on this spot. So we are today reclaiming and re-indigenizing these spaces and places. And this year's event seeks to reintroduce Indigenous presence in this seaport city and to highlight this river as native space through the Merrimack Michoud project and related initiatives. This was made possible by a grant from the New England Foundation for the Arts. I don't know if Kim is here today. She might be. Kim Zetso, thank you very much for your leadership and advocacy. We received a Public Art for Spatial Justice grant, which allowed us to work with two incredible master Michoud makers who I hoped were going to be here. We have one. Jonathan Perry. Can you please come over here, Jonathan? Jonathan? Calling Jonathan. Over the please join us, Jonathan, in the circle. And Darius, is Darius here yet? Yeah, let's give a big round. Any sign? So these incredible Mashun makers and master Wampanoag artists and culture keepers have been here for about a month behind the Custom House Maritime Museum, one of our partners in this project, who we also wish to thank, James Russell and the board of the Custom House for their leadership and partnership in this. And they have been so incredibly generous over this last month, making this incredible 20-foot dugout Mashun and welcoming school groups and the public to help and participate and sharing and teaching their cultural traditions so generously and so thoughtfully with everyone. So we are incredibly grateful to them for their artistry, for their leadership, and for their beautiful work, which is going to launch today at 3 o'clock on the Merrimack River. Yes, indeed. We also want to acknowledge our Penobscot Wabanaki neighbors from the Dawnland. They're over there. Maybe they would come into the circle too. Jason and Ryan, would you join us in the circle as well? And any other Indigenous representatives that are here, we would love you to please come into the circle with us and be acknowledged. We're delighted to welcome the Apotunkan, I'm not sure I'm saying that right, I'm sorry, Abudumkan, Birch Bark Canoe makers Jason Pardilla and Ryan Kelly Ranko of Penobscot Nation for bringing down this incredible, exquisite work of art and maritime vessel. Thank you so much to all of you. Thank you, Val. Well, thank Val, trustees of the reservations representative and great volunteer who's brought the letter from the governor just in the nick of time. So I will quickly read that before I let all of these folks introduce themselves and welcome you with a song or a few words or whatever they would like. Okay, dear friends, on behalf of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll and I welcome you to the Mashun launch and celebration on the Merrimack River. Organized by Imagine Studios and the Custom House Maritime Museum, the Merrimack Mashun Project seeks to honor Indigenous maritime traditions and art and to celebrate cultural craftsmanship through the creation and launch of a traditionally handcrafted Mashun. Constructed at the museum over the past few weeks by Darius Coombs of Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe and Jonathan James Perry of the Aquinnah Wampanoag, the vessel commemorates this year's Indigenous Peoples Day and serves as a living tribute to the resilience and artistry of our Indigenous neighbors. Lieutenant Governor Driscoll and I are thrilled to be in support of the Mashun launch and celebration on the Merrimack River, and we thank the organizers, the artisans, and the Newburyport community for their commitment to today's celebration. This event highlights Massachusetts' Indigenous roots and serves as a beacon of learning and respect for all who gather here today. Please accept our warm wishes to all in attendance. Sincerely, Governor Maura T. Healy and Kimberly Driscoll, Lieutenant Governor. So I would love to invite Jonathan up to say a few words to begin, please. Would you like to welcome somebody else in your another? We would love to have the Wampanoag. We have the Wampanoag Nation singers and dancers here today, this morning. Welcome to you. And Jonathan, would you be willing to just say a few words about maybe the Mashun project and your and Jared, tag team?
He's got it.
Jonathan James Perry. Hello, my name is Jonathan and I hail from the Aquinnah community of the Wampanoag Nation, located on Nape. Can everybody say Nape? Nape. You just said the most perfect place on earth, Martha's Vineyard. So it's nicknamed Martha's Vineyard, but it is truly and always has been Nape to our people, and that is my home. That is my family's home. You see some of my family around here. Of course, Jared. Come on up, Jared. So, yeah, if I call him over the microphone, he has to do it.
Hello, everybody.
Last year, we were lucky enough to be able to bring up a dugout canoe that we had made and paddled in the ocean down in Little Compton, Rhode Island. And then from that interaction and a number of others, came the concept of making a dugout canoe right here in Newburyport and right here on the Merrimack in a way to essentially reconnect our folks and reconnect with this water space here that would have been traveled by a lot of Eastern Native nations. Our waterways, of course, are our highways and our throughways, and so these rivers and ponds and lake spaces would have been covered with vessels of various types and sorts. So you actually have several of those vessels represented here today, with the dugout canoe being paddled and this beautiful birch bark canoe here being paddled in this river. And for all of our folks that are here today and reconnecting in this space and reminding everyone here that you are on Indigenous Peoples land, you are on Native land, and that our people are in the water and in the trees and in the earth itself, and we have been here for thousands upon thousands of years. So there is no time when you are not surrounded by us and living amongst us, even if you don't see us and you're not recognizing that we're there. And so we are connected in this space in ways that no one else can really imagine or think of or feel, not like we can. And so it's really important for us to come and gather in places like this and eat and laugh and tell stories and talk about our continuance and talk about our struggles, talk about our happiness, and talk about the future and our positive hope for that future, for the future generations, and for us to reconnect with places like this water space here and let our paddles our paddles kiss that water and reconnect us to our ancestors and their journey. So I think I said enough, and Jared is microphone shy, which is really really kind of funny after last night in the karaoke. So, but anyway, I will turn the microphone back over to Christine, or do you have someone else in queue? Has anyone seen Darius Coombs? Raise your hand or send them this way. Darius Coombs, you are being paged to the front of the arena. All right, so at this point, we're going to call out the Wampanoag Nation singers and dancers. They're going to come out and they're going to give us a beautiful welcome song. And we want you all to come crowd this space. Come on up and connect with us. This is a welcoming, so we want you to hear it. We want you to see it. We want you to feel it. And we want to start this day and this activity, all these activities, everything that we're doing here, we want to start it in a good way, and these folks will get us right. Thank you.
Kwasam, everyone. We are just representing our group with 3 of us today, so we're not the full group, but I'm Nataswis Nanawita Kaki Hendricks, Newtomas Recipient, Natan Recipient. I'm called Kitty Hendricks. My spirit name is Nanawita of Mashpee, Wampanoag, and I also live in Mashpee. So today we will introduce ourselves individually because we are actually the Wampanoag Nation singers and dancers. Our group is quite large, and we represent the tribes of Aquinnah, Aquinaat, Masipiat, and also Harripandat. So all of our group members consist of those 3 tribal communities. Those are the 3 biggest tribal communities today in this area, Mashpee being the largest, Aquinnah, where Jonathan is the 2nd largest, and then the Harripan group. So we're going to start out with We're gonna start out with a welcome dance, a round dance. So we do encourage you to come on in, make this circle strong for today for our paddlers, for all the people that put this beautiful event together. Let's show thanks and let's get together and join our good medicine together in a round dance. Yes, please.
Come through the gate. Come around this way. There's a door right over here. So if you'd like to come and join the round, just come right along and then enter underneath. So please come. Just go around that way.
All right, we're going to form a circle.
Walk there's a walk
The gate is over here to the east.
Follow him.
Well, the eastern gate is where we come into this world from the east. We're people of the first light, which is first to see the sunrise, and we have the entrance. So if we join our hands together and continue the good medicine that we all hold inside of us, and we're going to share that with each other, and we're going to make the circle stronger. So this is round dance. Some people call it the friendship dance. The big drum does a version of the round dance. This is Eastern social round dance. If you'd like to sing with us, please come forward. We'd love to hear all your voices. Michelle, are you dancing? Oh, you can sing, yeah. Yeah, I think everybody can do the round dance. If you can step to the side, you can step to the right, you can step to the left, you can do this dance. Oh, okay. I guess it's really Jonathan. Okay. We've been together a long time, and with the Wampanoag Singers and Dancers since the late 90s.
I got a whole man.
So, as a community within the circle, which way should we start? We need to honor both directions. So which way, left or right? Left?
I got to type this up.
Hi-yo, hi-yo, how-we-yo, hi-ya. Hi-yo, hi-yo, how-we-yo, hi-ya. Hi-yo, how-we-yo, hi-ya. Hi-yo, how-we-yo, hi-ya. Hi-yo, how-we-yo, hi-ya. Hey-ya, hey-ya, hey-ya.
I'm going to slow down and shift. You can exaggerate and stall.
Hi-yo, how-we-yo, hi-ya. Hi-yo, how-we-yo, hi-ya. Hi-yo, how-we-yo, hi-ya. Hi-yo, how-we-yo, hi-ya. Hey-ya, 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 hi-yo. Hi-yo, how-we-yo, hi-yo, hi-ya. Hi-yo, how-we-yo, hi-yo, hi-ya. How-we-yo, hi-yo, how-we-yo, hi-yo, hi-ya. How-we-yo, hi-yo, hi-yo, how-we-yo, hi-ya. Hey-ya, 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 hi-yo. How-we-yo, hi-yo, hi-ya. How-we-yo, hi-yo, hi-ya. How-we-yo, hi-yo, how-we-yo, hi-yo, hi-ya. How-we-yo, hi-yo, hi-yo, how-we-yo, hi-ya. Hey-ya, 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 hi-yo. Yo, hi-ya-de-yo, hi-ya-de-yo, hey-hi-ya. Yo, hi-ya-de-yo, hi-ya-de-yo, hey-hi-ya. Yo, hi-ya-de-yo, hi-ya-de-yo, hey-oh, hi-ya. Yo, hi-ya-de-yo, hi-ya-de-yo, hi-ya. Yo, hi-ya. Hey-ya, 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 hi-yo. Yo, hi-ya-de-yo.
Bring it in the middle.
Thank you so much to the Wampanoag singers and dancers. Welcoming everyone. We're also so pleased to have so many other representatives here today and drum groups. We've got 3 drum groups here today. Amazing. We have Nicholas Paul's family here, down from Maine and even further in some cases, some of the family, and they are the second year they are here, and we're so glad to have them. Please welcome Nicholas Paul and family to share a song. Nicholas is from Indian Township, Maine, Wolastoqua, Nellisee, and from Toby First Nations in New Brunswick, and Pachuwapi, she who dances on night. I'm sorry, my apologies. I'm not good with pronunciation. Please welcome her, she who dances on night winds, Narragansett from Rhode Island and Pequot from Connecticut, and their children. They've traveled to powwows across the U.S. and have competed in different dance styles and drumming, and have traveled to showcase and teach their culture through dances, singing, social dance, powwow. And as a family, we still follow traditions and teachings that have been passed down to us from our elders and the ones who have gone before. Please welcome them.
Oh, hi everyone. How you doing? I'm just referring to my boss here. Before I pick a song. Okay. If you guys want to come in and join in, it's not like the round dance, but we will be dancing around a circle.
Thank you. How about another round for them? All family. Well, we are just delighted to have so many representatives here today and to honor them all here together. Some of my notes have flown away, but I'm going to introduce to you Larry Spotted Crowman. We are so delighted to have him and his family here from the Okateo Cultural Center. Yes, they do such important cultural work. He and his wife Raina and their children, and they have opened a new branch of Okateo locally right here in our region. We are so delighted and pleased. And I want to thank Larry and his family for contributing so much to this project and to this day, to the Merrimack Machoon Project, to bringing in intertribal representatives from all across the region, Abenaki, Nipmuc, and others, to join together to help craft this amazing Machoon that was possible. And Larry is a poet and a playwright and a children's author and storyteller and musician and so much more, a real culture keeper. And we are just so delighted to have you and your family here. So please welcome Larry Spotted Crowman.
Thank you, Christine. The day has finally arrived. It's been a lot of hard work. And I just want to thank everybody who's made this possible for all of us to be here on such a lovely Indigenous Peoples Day. And, to give you the proper greeting, Nina ho kankantu chokesichek yuchi ayem na hagminawa unasha na tumo manatu tabadi wutuchi kennisin okumis tabadi wuchi sapasu usakatia huana notas tino manantiong king nuta yu pantamino and meo ninawa me quantum teacher ka mata wanantam ka naguti kokutam ninawa manatu usakatia huana o manatio ka nosokumuso amoke ninaho kenkantu chokesichi yayo tabadi manatu ni wachi wami all of you here today tabadi manatu ni wachi Merrimack. The rough translation is I offered a greeting in the Nipmuc language. In English, I am Larry Spotted Crowman, an enrolled citizen of the Hassanimisco Nipmuc people. And the Merrimack is part of our river systems. Nipmuc means people of the water or the fresh water. And the Merrimack would be one of our waterways. And as you've heard some talk already about the importance of the water and the river systems for our travel. And so I'm very grateful to be here and also as Executive Director of the Okateo Cultural Center to bring programming, Indigenous stories, programming, and perspectives and knowledge to this area that is, unfortunately, the people who were here were removed. And so we're trying to bring back their voices and that culture that is so rich and endearing and a part of the fabric of this land. And so with that, I want to offer a welcome song. And we have a lot of exciting events and things to share with y'all here today. So I wanted to open up with a Nipmuc welcome song. It's a healing song and I think so appropriate for this time. Nina one pianta anthem. Hey yo, hey yo, hey ya. Hey yo, hey yo, hey ya. Hey ha, hey ha, hey ha. Good job. Good bottom. Thank you all. Good bottom. Once again, it's good to be here with all of our relatives from all the different nations here throughout the East. So please enjoy your day, take in this knowledge, and share with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Larry, and I don't know if Raina is here as well. I think I see her back there. Maybe would you like to come into the circle and join us? And Claudia, I would love to introduce you to we have representatives from all across Turtle Island, all across what is today called the Americas, this continent. And of course, on this Columbus Day, not Columbus Day, but we want to acknowledge the first peoples that were impacted by the terror of Columbus and his brutal enterprise. And so we have representatives here from the Caribbean nations of the Taino and Arawak community, Claudia Foxtree and Raina. And we have them also representing the local Massachusetts Native Center for Awareness, Massachusetts Center for Native American Awareness. We want to give a shout out to them. They're also one of our community partners here today, doing very important work right here in our region and in our communities. And Claudia is a board member of their wonderful organization, important organization. She's a professional educator, a social justice activist. She's won numerous awards from the Massachusetts House of Representatives for scholarship, activism, and tireless work to give voice to the experiences of Indigenous and Native American people, and so many other accolades. And we are so delighted to have her here for, I think, the third time at our gathering. So please welcome Claudia Foxtree and Raina.
Dr. Claudia Foxtree, Dr. Takinaru, Dr. Arawak, Yukiyaki, Gaina. So I'm still learning my indigenous language. I do know my mother's language, which happens to be German. So English is my second language. Stole my thunder a little bit because I was going to say when I was in school, I never saw the name of my nation in print until I got to college. But I'd heard a lot about who the Arawak met, and that was Christopher Columbus. So this is an important time of year for us to acknowledge that colonization has really impacted our life, and we need to work on decolonizing. And what does that mean? I'll be speaking later today. I also have a booth over there. It's got the purple tablecloth, so you can come by there and I have some educational stuff I'm going to be talking about there. I am with Mass Center for Native American Awareness, United Confederation of Taino People, and I acknowledge my Yukiyaki tribal group as Waimea as well. My name, Takinaru, means woman who leads, and I am going to do something that honors the 4 directions, but first I want my sister, Raina, to have a chance to introduce herself.
Miari, Diarile Reina, Daka Taino. My name is Reina Mercado Antunes, and I am a Taino. My family comes from Borinquen and Cuba, and I'm grateful to be here on the homelands of our relatives. So it's really important for us as Taino, whose homelands are in the Caribbean and South America, to be able to recognize that and appreciate that. We have been invisible, like many of our relatives, for a very long time. So you see us here today, and the Taino movement is growing, and it is far-reaching. So you will definitely be seeing and hearing more about Taino as the years go on. I do work for Okiteo Cultural Center. We do a lot of cultural programming, as Christine had mentioned. And we're just happy to be here and grateful to everyone here for coming and supporting us.
When I'm with other folks from the Caribbean, when we honor the directions, we start with the South, as that's where we are relatively. But as Raina was saying, we are on another nation's land, so our work is respecting their traditions and being an ally. And in that way, we're going to do a conch blowing, which is traditional. Oh, by the way, someone mentioned language earlier, and I wanted to say, you're all speaking some Taino Arawak words already, like canoe, hammock, tobacco, barbecue, just so many words, because there wasn't a word for these things that were being seen. And when it went back to Europe, the traditional indigenous words went. Not to mention the Wampanoag words like skunk and chipmunk. So language has a lot of power in how it stays on and stays connected to the indigenous people in the land. Having said that, we're going to blow the conch for each direction as a way to honor where we are now. So the east is here, as you know, by the eastern gate. Then we're actually going to turn to the east when we start. Then we're going to do the south, the north, and the west. We can do the 7 as well. So we'll do up for the sky, then we'll touch the earth for the Earth Mother, and then I do heart. Yes, okay, and then heart. Just want to make sure we're on the same page, because there's a slight different traditions, but then there's so many traditions that are the same among nations.
And that is a really good point that Claudia is making. So Claudia is from Yucayeke, and she belongs to Yucayeke, which is what we would say is like a tribe here or a band. And there are many Yucayekes, right? So you will see that we don't all dress the same. We don't all even have the same language. And there's some of us that aren't part of any Yucayeke. We're just individual Taino who respect and live our culture and are working towards learning that as well. So just wanted to mention that.
So if I can ask folks to all turn to the east. I'll get better. All right. Thank you. And then we'll turn to the south. Then we will turn to the north. Oh, sorry. West. And now north. Now we'll touch the earth if you're able. You can also take off flip-flops. Better over there. Yeah, you certainly get a dry mouth on this. And then up to the sky. And then for your heart, the inner drum. Han Han Katu, Kahum, and Sanuka Kakona. Abundant blessings to all.
Thank you so much. Beautiful. We have another northern group here with us today. They are the Lone Cry Singers. Tim Sock, I'd love to welcome up to say a few words. Our Mi'kmaq neighbors to the north from Prince Edward Island, all the way from PEI. They have come, they have traveled the second year in a row. We're so fortunate.
Kwe! I need to with Wabegipu. I'm saying hello. I am White Eagle. That's my spiritual name. I am Tim Sock, as she said, from the Abigwit First Nation, Abigwit PEI. Abigwit meaning cradle of the sea. We come from northern Canada, a 9-hour drive. We're honored to be here and joining other nations in celebration here in Newburyport. This is our second year down here for this event. It's always a pleasure to come down and support. I have family here in Salisbury and Newburyport and in New Hampshire and Maine. So it's always good for us to come down and share our culture and our songs. My boys here, this is a family drum. We call it Lone Cry Singers. I have my nephew here, CJ Cleo. I have Brandon Langley, a cousin, and Parker Larkin, who's basically he's Cree but adopted by the Mi'kmaq. So we have our people. We have more drummers. We have a group of 10. For this event, we only brought 4. The rest of the boys got to stay home and take the weekend off because it's Thanksgiving at home. So it's a pleasure for us to be here. We're so honored to be asked to join us again. So in saying that, we've been asked to do our traditional Mi'kmaq honor song. You're more than welcome to come in and dance. It's a welcoming as well to a Maui-Omi, a gathering like this. But like I said, it's an honor to be here and to share our culture with you, and it's an honor to share this event with other Indigenous groups. It's always a pleasure to visit this territory.
We also want to acknowledge Chickie Red Dawn Dobson of the Mi'kmaq, our local elder and mentor. Hello, Chickie. Thank you for all your contributions to this event. And her niece, Sarah, Small Turtle, there she is. And her niece, Amelia Levinson. So we hope they'll join us in the circle for the honor song. And thank you so much for all your contributions. Thank you, Lone Cry. Woo! Powerful. Thank you. Our neighbors to the north. So I think we've had the farthest north and the farthest south that we just bookended there together in the circle. So we're drawing on nations from all across Turtle Island, and we are so honored and so pleased that they've made this long trip to be with us here today.
Me too.
We also have local representatives. I see Mayor Reardon is here. Would you like to come up, Mayor Reardon, and say a few words? Please welcome Mayor Sean Reardon, who, as I say, has made a commitment to creating an Indigenous Peoples place at this waterfront to acknowledge Native peoples, and we're so appreciative of his leadership. Thank you, Mayor Reardon. Welcome.
Well, we're definitely getting the best day of the weekend here. This is awesome. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day here in Newburyport on our beautiful waterfront. I want to begin by thanking our event organizers, Imagine Studios, for continuing this important tradition. Special thanks to Christine Malpica for your leadership around this event and your advocacy throughout the year. Let's give her a hand. Today we honor and celebrate Native peoples past and present, and we observe the 4th official Indigenous Peoples Day here in Newburyport. We acknowledge that we gather on the ancestral lands of the Abenaki, Pennacook, Wabanaki, and Micmac peoples. We honor their stewardship of this land and acknowledge the painful history of displacement that occurred here and throughout this region. With that acknowledgement comes responsibility to care for this land, to listen to the Indigenous voices, and to ensure that future generations understand the stories rooted here long before Newburyport was founded. As we look around this beautiful waterfront today, we can take pride in the transformation that is now complete. The expansion of Market Landing Park and the rehabilitation of the waterfront bulkhead have created a space that is more resilient, accessible, and welcoming for all. This park stands as a testament to our shared commitment to preserving open space and protecting this land for future generations. But our work here is not finished. A key step is to create a dedicated Indigenous Peoples place along the water's edge. A space for reflection, ceremony, and community. The proposed design includes a gathering area and a symbolic fire pit sculpture representing unity, storytelling, and connection to the land. It'll be a place for events like today's celebration, a place for learning, healing, and acknowledgement. To bring this vision to life, we need the community's help. This must be a community-led effort, guided by local Indigenous voices and supported by residents, businesses, and organizations that believe in honoring our shared history. In the months ahead, a fundraising campaign to make the Indigenous Peoples Place a reality will need to be launched. I encourage everyone here and everyone who loves this city to get involved, contribute, and help us build something meaningful together. Newburyport is a community that values inclusion, understanding, and respect. By coming together to create this space, we reaffirm those values in a lasting, visible, and very meaningful way. Thank you again for joining us today on this beautiful day, for honoring the past, celebrating the present, and helping to shape a more respectful and connected future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Reardon. Thank you for your leadership and vision. And we all look forward to that Indigenous Peoples place, don't we? Yeah? Let's have another round for that. So please contact Mayor Reardon's office. Please show your advocacy and support for that space. It will be a milestone for our region and our community, and we're very excited. Speaking of our region and community, we want to acknowledge our local historical land base as well as the contemporary. And we have with us today Jenny Tibbetts, who's one of our organizers of this event. We're very grateful to Jenny, a Newitchuk tribal elder, two-spirit person, a multidisciplinary artist who works primarily in glass and photography and fiber arts. She brings deep understanding and appreciation of Indigenous perspectives on gender, identity, and spirituality. They have a particular interest in herbal medicine, teaching about medicinal properties and uses of plants, and she is going to give us a land acknowledgement today. Please welcome Jenny.
Before the earth beneath our feet was called Newburyport. Before there was a Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Before there was a Plum Island, Water Street, and Parker River. Generations of Pennacook and Agawam people, Algonquin-speaking tribes of the Wabanaki Confederacy belonged to this land and considered it their home. Today we give thanks for their care and stewardship of this land. We acknowledge that we are on unceded traditional homelands of the Abenaki, Pennacook, Agawam, and Wabanaki peoples, past and present. We acknowledge with gratitude the Aki, the land, the Nabi, water, Aluigak, flora, Awasak, fauna, and the Alambak, the people, who are stewarded in Dakina for many millennia. Leonie.
Thank you, Jenny. And Jenny had an article that was contributed to the local daily news and is also on the organization ACES. I don't know if Art Currier is here, but ACES is an important environmental organization, drawing on traditional ecological knowledge as well with our Native communities and friends here. So please check out Jenny's article on the ACES website, and thank you to ACES for their support. I think we have done our basic introductions and songs and welcoming, and we're only about 15 minutes late. Not so bad. So I would love to welcome my friend, and I'm proud to say a colleague and a mentor to me in so many ways, Roger Paul. Roger was born on Indian Reservation, Indian Princeton, Maine, and he was born to a Passamaquoddy, mother and a Maliseet father. Roger grew up speaking both languages and began learning English around 5. Living on various reservations in Maine and New Brunswick during his childhood, he attended Catholic schools as well as public schools off the reservation. After touring the world with the U.S. Marine Corps, he earned a bachelor's degree in sociology at the University of Maine at Presque Isle. It was during this time that he realized the public's lack of understanding and connection to the Indigenous peoples of Maine and New Brunswick. As such, he chose to educate anyone who would want to learn about the Wabanaki peoples of the Turtle Island and their vital role in the communities in which they are ever present. He has done work for the Aroostook Band of Mi'kmaq, the Hilton Band of Maliseet, Tobique First Nation in Canada, his home tribe of Passamaquoddy, and is presently working as a teacher with Penobscot Nation and University of Maine at Orono. His work history mirrors his background from being a cultural director, teacher, counselor, storyteller, and consultant, in which he takes an active role towards the preservation of culture and educating people on the importance of realizing the significance of Indigenous peoples, Maine, New Brunswick, and elsewhere. A father of 3 and a grandfather of 5, he works diligently to share and ensure the continuing growth and prosperity of the Wabanaki language and culture. He's featured in the 2022 Reciprocity Project film, Chuakpanakik, The Approaching Dawn. He's also the co-director of the Upstander Project's Teachers Academy. Please welcome Roger Paul.
Well, they wouldn't, Christine. I don't know where you got all that, but wow, that's a lot of write-up about me. The last time I had a write-up that long about me, the police department told it. Down the gawk, see that win? Gamaj nolita azali yunti. PGI, nagaberachu yidwutta. Gamaj nil noas welcome. Engineer dama is eoliai. Naga lewestuaman mausui no. Dalowadidik, Twabanaki nil, Kadapo, Preskidamukad, Kadapo, Lustigwin, Twabanaki Nide. To translate, I said, "Hi, good morning." I'm so glad Christine invited me here and had me talk first. I wanted to express how wonderful it feels to be here again. She's invited me at past events here, and I've been able to tell stories, and I've been able to talk about history. But today I just wanted to just share in welcoming everybody and letting you know how we feel, me and my family feel, about being welcomed here. It begins to feel like home again to us. We are Yatwabanakig, which actually spreads from the northern Quebec area up in Hudson's Bay and way up into Labrador, all the way down to the Carolinas. That's what we call Twabanakig. And Twabanakig in our language means the land where the sun first looks our way, which would be the entire eastern coast of Turtle Island, of North America that you guys know today. So this is all Twabanakig, even though our territories are, hold on. I think so. Oh, okay. Maybe that's where the feedback's coming from. We do have, is that better? Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? You want me to talk louder? Oh, okay. Wow. You know, I have tinnitus. I don't know if that's feedback or my tinnitus is on the mic. All right. As I was saying, this is all Twabanakig, and Twabanakig in our language, broken down, actually means, as I was saying, where the sun first looks our way. And if we break it down, everyone that is here, I'm going to give you a language lesson. Today, you're going to learn to speak our language again. I say again because all of you here do speak our language already. When you say words like this morning, they were pointing out like Merrimack, Mazajuset, Wajuset, Agwam, and all of those words are actually Indigenous words. And you guys use them every day. One of them would be like, for instance, the shoes that you say Indians wear. And a lot of you say moccasin. In our language, the word for our footwear is moccasin. So everyone say moccasin. The next time someone says moccasins, correct them and say, no, it's moccasin. And the place where we live is actually called Wigwam. So everyone say wigwam. So when someone says, oh, a wigwam, correct them and say, ndama, wigwam. And actually the animal that the English thought was a very ugly horse. And we said, oh, got a horse, moose net, moose. The word moose in English. If you hear someone say it, please correct them and say it's not moose, it's moose. Those are all of our language. A lot of the words that you use today and a lot of the stereotypical Indian words that are in the English vernacular is actually from the tribes right here on this homeland that you're standing on these homelands that stretch from the Carolinas all the way north to Labrador. So we are the people of the Wabanag, the people of the first light, the Twabanakig, the people that live where the sun first looks our way. That's who we are. And this has been our homeland for thousands of years. And when I say thousands of years, I can be more specific on that. Our stories go back 25,000 years on this continent. Now, this continent didn't have, at that time, 25,000 years ago, didn't have a shoreline where we see it today. It didn't even have land, for that matter. It was glacier. And this glacier, we couldn't live on. So we lived on the outskirts of that glacier, which would be way out. And you guys in the eastern or the shore community would know probably how far out Georges Bank is or even farther. But that's where we had to come to this continent. It was 12,500 years ago when the glacier melted back, and we actually lived along the edge of that glacier, which would not still be here. Because as the glacier melted back, if you remember correctly, the weight of the ice would compress the land. And as the ice would melt, then the water would fill in behind it. And then the water would come in way inland. Way inland. I'm not even sure if the state of Massachusetts was above water at that time. But over time, as the land began to rebound and it began to come back up, that's where the shoreline would go back to where we know it today. And we've been on that edge between the shore and the edge of the glacier. And we've been on what we call our homelands for close to 12,000 years. Over that 12,000 years, we lived in small villages. These small villages were along the waterways, just like what Jonathan and the others talked about today. They were along those waterways. Those were our freeways. They not only provided us with fish and mussels and many of the plants that we need near the water and the medicines, but they provided us with ways to get where we need to go. The Mishoon and the canoe today were the way that we would actually get around to wherever we needed to go. I know a lot of people talk about these trails that Indians walked, and we walked for miles. And I always wonder, being from the Chquabanaki community, why would anybody walk? Why don't you just get in the canoe and a couple of paddles, follow the current? We have stories and songs that tell us how to get to certain places. Our language is not a noun-based language. Our language describes the place or the people that we're going to. My community, Madakmigok, it's not a noun about a place. It's not a noun like Newburyport. It's actually a description, a verb, not just a verb phrase describing the place that we're going to. Madakmigok means where the land goes downhill. And that would describe that place. We would go to Zipayik. Zipayik is the land on the edge of the ocean, right by the shore. Then we would even go to Bunwapskeg. Bunwapskeg is where the white rocks stick out of the water, or the swift water is, where the water just rolls and aerates and turns white, and it makes it look like the rocks are white. Those are the places we would go. We would always describe where we were going. Our location was based on the description of the place or a description of the people. I was born on what they call a Passamaquoddy reservation. We called it Beskidamookadig. Beskidamookadig literally means the people who hunt pollock. We were right by the shore. There were pollock there. We hunted them. That's how we lived. Now, I know some of you are saying, oh, you mean fished them. Well, when you think of it in the terms of today's fishing, I'm sure that's how you think of it. You need to open and expand and decolonize. At that time, we didn't have fishing rods or trawlers where we'd go out with the nets. We had to hunt them with spear. And sometimes we would use our I think in English you call it a weir, a fish weir, where the tide would come in and the pollock would come over our fish weirs, and as the tide would go out, we would just go out in baskets and gather our fish. Very simple ways to do things. And in today's world, it's a little hard to imagine that. So while you're here, keep in mind of the villages that were at that time, and they were small for a reason, very small. During that time, we would live in a village that would only have a population that could be supported by the surrounding resources. If our population got too large for surrounding resources, we would end up moving to another area that had more resources. We would end up moving farther south. In Penobscot terms, they would move upriver. The rest of us would move downriver. But Penobscots always did things upriver. So we would go to another area that was much more resourceful. And then there would be another village there. And there would be another village farther than that if we started to get more populated there. So when the Europeans came, it shocked them to find that we had small villages along waterways. We didn't have what was in Europe. They would have, they grew wheat, they had agriculture. And if there was a population that got larger, they would just clear trees and grow more wheat. And they had kingdoms where they had to protect it from one another. They would have these big walls and these big towers and the moats surrounding it and drawbridges and dragons protecting it. And they imagined big populations. We weren't like that. We lived in harmony with our environment. And if our environment didn't provide enough for our people would move to a different environment. That's how we were here for 12,000 years, living in harmony with our environment. Over that time period, if you can imagine 12,000 years of living in this environment on these homelands along the eastern shore of Turtle Island, or what North America is called today. That's how we survived this long. And in the past few hundred years, an outlook or your perspective on resources changed. The perspective changed where all of a sudden the environment had to change for us rather than us to change to our environment. That shift alone, when we require the environment to change for us rather than us change for our environment, goes into a really bad way of trying to survive. Because when we adapt our environment to what we want, we end up taking things that really keep us alive. We need to remember the old tradition that kept us here for 12,000 years is not just that humans are at the top of any chain, food chain, intelligence chain, or anything. Humans are just actually part of the entire world, the entire creation. Everything about creation is interdependent. We need to remember that. Everything that we do is interdependent. And if we go here today and we acknowledge all of the Skijinog and the wonderful traditions that a lot of people say were once here, I have to argue, those traditions are not once here. Those traditions are still here. We're here today to show you that we're all here. We all still practice our customs. We all still practice our traditions. And we're all here. And was mentioned earlier, sometimes you don't even know that we are actually Indigenous peoples among you. And it's nothing that we like to, well, some of us do, like to go around and say, hey, Skijin nil. And myself, I sometimes have to wear a shirt just to prove I'm an Indian. That's how people identify me. But there are Indigenous peoples among all of us, and we're still here. We still practice our traditions. We still practice our customs. We still do our ceremonies. A lot of us are actually very involved in that. And the difference is we always include everyone, not just other humans. We include all living things, everything that lives. These trees that you're standing among, that a lot of people will come here today and leave and stand under them for shade and think, oh, well, there was a shade there. Well, that tree not only provided you with shade, that tree provided you with the oxygen that you're breathing. That tree was very happy that you were standing under that tree, releasing that carbon dioxide so that that could breathe in and leaving you oxygen, giving you that trade-off, that interdependence of these trees and all of the plants around you. That's the level we need to understand. Acknowledgements. I love acknowledgements. Thank you so much for the acknowledgement this morning. To Indigenous peoples, acknowledgements are kind of a half of one and half a dozen of one and six of another type of thing, is like your idiom that you have. The reason is that if Indigenous people do an acknowledgement, it's that we're acknowledging we're here. if non-Indigenous people do an acknowledgement, it's like, yes, this land was once homeland to all of the peoples. These are the homelands. But we're here now. We don't want to give it back. But we're going to acknowledge it was theirs. So to Indigenous people, it's kind of a mixed emotion. It's good that the awareness is there. It's a start. But keep in mind, there's more beneath that depth. And just it was a big introduction, but I wanted to share a story this morning about Squabanaw-Egan people of the East. So keep in mind, as I'm telling the story, it's not just about Eastern people. It's not just about Indigenous people here before contact. It's about everything, not even just people. It's about everything in creation. Oh, Christine, am I running out of time? Let me do a quick story then. Sorry. Beecha, Elaikban. Oh, I better tell it in English. Okay. A long time ago, it was this way. Along the shore, there were people that lived there, and they did their ceremonies every morning, their morning ceremony, welcoming the sun. The sun is a living being to the Indigenous peoples. This sun was always welcomed every morning. And this little boy, his name was Nicholas. This little boy named Nicholas would go to the shore, and he'd get there a little too late. The whole community was already there, and they were heading back home. And he would ask his grandmother, "Did I miss it?" His grandmother said, "It was beautiful." So one morning he said, "I want to see this, Wechkuabuk." Wechkuabuk in our language means the sun is looking our way. So he made it a point to get up really early one morning. It was still dark, and he got up, and he got ready, and he went to the shore, and there was no one there. But he said, "I'm going to sit right here. I'm going to stay here until that sun comes up, and I'm going to see Wechkuabuk, what makes it so important." And so he waited, and he waited, and he started getting tired because he got up too early. So he laid down. He said, "I'm just going to rest my eyes for a minute. But when I see the people coming or hear them, I'll wake up." Well, he slept for a bit, and then he realized his eyes popped open, and you could see the light starting to shine over the horizon, over the ocean. He jumped up and he looked around, and there was an elder man sitting behind him. And he turned around, and the elder man said, "Well, he's Puzzle Dunagawkalugil." And the little boy jumps up and he goes, "Did I miss it?" And the elder smiled and said, "Ndama, you didn't miss it." And he said, "I'm here to see the sunrise. I want to see what's so important. My grandmother always says it's so beautiful. It's always so wonderful. I need to see that." And he goes, "It's coming." And he pointed. And then the little boy decided to ask a few questions. He goes, "Well, what do I do when the sun comes up?" He says, "You welcome it." "Well, how do I welcome it?" "You can sing to it, or you can give thanks." And he thought, "I could sing." "Well, what do I sing?" And the elder said, "You sing anything, just as long as it comes from your heart." So the little boy turned around. He could see more of the sunlight coming, and he started to sing. So he slowly started to sing a welcome song. And then all of a sudden he could hear the drum behind him. The elder pulled out a drum. And as he started singing louder with the drum behind him, then he started hearing more voices. And he turned around and he looked, and there was a whole community gathering, singing the welcome song with this little boy. He could see in the crowd, his grandmother was there. So he was leading them in the welcome song, welcoming the sun for another day. And as he sang, and the sun rose, came into Jackwood, and broke the horizon, then all of the people began to dance. They danced, much like the round dance that we did today. Everyone did this together. And in this dance, they all hugged one another. They told each other how much they loved each other. And they thanked each other. And then they went on with their duties of the day. And the elder looked at the little boy and he goes, Dan Tlida Hadamaniora, what did you think of this? And he said, I've been missing this my whole life. This is wonderful. He said, how often do we do this? And the elder smiled and said, every day. Every day you do this. You give thanks to that sun. You give thanks to the people around you. You give thanks to all life. Because you never know when you won't get that chance. And they'll remember you for one of the ones that has always done that. Itepsu. I better give the mic back over to Christine. I think I made us a little farther behind. Yeah. Julian. So with that, I ask all of you, make sure to tell someone you love them today. It doesn't matter who it is. Well, if you're married, you better check with your spouse first. But Julian. I'm just going to be on.
Can we say thanks to Roger? And also, I want Roger to tell us where he's going to be performing in just about a week or two with somebody very special.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Dartmouth College. They're reopening a rebuilt theater, and we're going to be the first ones there performing. And I'm with a few friends. My friend Molly Obumsuin, if you're familiar with her, she's a bass player and she does musical scores for Indigenous music. I'll be with my friend Lauren Jane. She's a wonderful Wabanaki singer. My friend Chris Newell, who's a wonderful educator from Yukon and a wonderful singer and cultural person. I'll also be with someone from my home in Wolastoqu. It's Jeremy Dutcher, if you're not familiar. Please look him up on whatever app you have that has music. He's a concert pianist that sings in our language. And he was taught by Magic Maggie Paul, who is one of our clan mothers. And what's that other guy's name? He's from, he's a cellist. His name is Yo-Yo Ma. He's also going to be there. And he's going to be, I feel bad telling people about it, and it's both shows are sold out. But hopefully we'll have another show available. And hopefully we can come here to Newburyport next. I would love to invite him here next year for this one. So I'll see you all again next year. And I'll tell Yo-Yo that you guys are interested. So I'm just going to be opa.
Thank you, Roger.